What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Eddie Hearn, Deontay Wilder, and Andy Ruiz. Get this. Eddie Hearn backs Andy Ruiz to beat Deontay Wilder if the fight happens in 2023. The former WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder returns to the ring on Saturday night. Of course, he'll be taking on Robert Helenius. And if he gets past that, he would then fall in line for a final eliminator against unified champion or former unified champion Andy Ruiz. And Eddie Hearn, the promoter of Anthony Joshua, believes that Ruiz would overcome Wilder if the two boxers met in the ring. And this is what he said, quote, "I seen Andy call out Tyson Fury. No one ain't fighting Andy Ruiz in a hurry. He's a handful, and we found that out in Madison Square Garden. And AJ dealt with him in Saudi Arabia. He's a handful," Hearn said. He said, "I think Wilder Ruiz is a great fight. We'll see what happens in the Helenius fight. But if Wilder wins that fight, I would love to see Andy Ruiz against Deontay Wilder. I really fancy Andy Ruiz in the fight. He's a smaller guy, winging those shots over the top. If he can get one of those inside against Wilder, Wilder can beat anybody on his day. He has great power." What I'm saying is Andy Ruiz is a nightmare for tall guys because his movement is so good. And it's difficult for small guys to get on the inside. He does get on the inside, and he's not afraid to let them go when he gets there. And he's not afraid to trade. But Wilder has the power to take anyone out, including Andy Ruiz, but it's a great fight. Let me counterpunch. There is some truth to what Eddie's saying, sprinkled here and there. I don't agree with Eddie Hearn. Based on the position that Eddie's in, we can kind of see with our eyes closed that Eddie, if it comes to anybody beating Joshua, because only two guys beat Joshua, Andy and Oleg, he would fancy them against Deontay Wilder because Deontay Wilder's the rival that he never fought. And if they beat him, then his fighter's not so bad, right? So, I feel that Eddie Hearn is saying that out of that. But for shits and giggles, let's break down why. He says Andy's a shorter fighter and he's good with taller fighters. Well, okay, he's naturally shorter than most fighters, so he does have to work to get on the inside. But he's not afraid to let his hands go when he gets there. That's also true. I do agree with Eddie Hearn. Andy does throw rapid fire punches when he does get on the inside. I think he's notorious for wide shots behind the head. I think that should be addressed. If I'm Team Wilder, if that fight does take place, that's exactly what they got to look for. Especially because Wilder bends his head down, a lot of times with taller fighters like Tyson, but he wouldn't do that with Andy. Okay, and Andy moves real well to get on the inside. No, he doesn't. He has decent upper body movement, but he doesn't move well at all. His footwork is terrible. So I don't know what he's talking about. The reason why Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia was able to deal with Andy Ruiz is because Andy Ruiz wouldn't give him anything else. He just stood there. He wanted Anthony Joshua to come at him like he was stupid and gullible enough, overzealous enough, rather, to do in the first fight. And Anthony didn't do it. He could have easily won that fight. Even after the third round, he could have easily said, "You know what, I'm just going to box this kid." He could have turned into that Anthony Joshua in the second fight with the afro that was 15 pounds lighter or 13 pounds lighter, right? So he could have been that guy. But he didn't. He wanted to go out banging, because he thought he could get another left hook in. Little did he know he was more hurt than Andy Ruiz was. So we all know how that went. But he's not afraid to trade. Wilder ain't trading with you. Okay, so with Eddie saying, well, he's not afraid to trade, you think Wilder's going to trade with Andy? No, Wilder's going to sit back, set up his scope, adjust his range, and throw that right hand. That's what he's going to do. And when he hits Andy, we're going to see how good Andy's jaw is, because he's going to be hitting them all night. So if it's anything like Chris Arreola or Andy Ruiz gets hit with that behind the ear shot, he's out of there. You see, Wilder, one thing about Wilder, he knows how to fight tall. He's not going to get in there and try to trade with a guy that's shorter. That's dumb. That's like me trying to crouch down and fight a midget. That midget's going to tear me alive because I'm giving up too much of myself. And I'm giving him advantages that I shouldn't be giving him. But it just shows you that Eddie, maybe in this particular lineup with these fighters, he's only saying that because Andy Ruiz beat Anthony Joshua. If Andy Ruiz wouldn't have beat Anthony Joshua, we probably wouldn't even be having this conversation. It would probably be like, no, Wilder's too tall, too strong, and he would knock Andy Ruiz's head off. Counterpunch. Because I don't see anything that Andy could do unless Andy hurts Wilder. And if he hurts Wilder, he will start welling those shots. And a lot of those shots will stray behind the head. But, of course, referees, they don't really see fouls after the fighter gets hurt with a legitimate one. That's what I've noticed about referees. I think they should really tighten up on what is what. I know you don't want to be too over-involved in a fight, but at the same time, a lot of fighters get hurt and, they're in trouble, but then they get fouled, and that foul becomes unnoticed because of what's going on. See, referees have adrenaline too, and they're just like, okay, but I think they should really pay close attention to the hitting behind the head. You know what I mean? Because Andy is notorious for that, and he's done that in 2 different fights. He's done that shit in the first Joshua fight, and he's done that shit all through the Ortiz fight. He was hitting him behind the head. So now if he gets one of those shots off, he could probably make something work. But based on what Eddie has said, no, I don't think that's enough to beat Deontay Wilder in a fight. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Eddie Hearn's prediction of Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!